Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do a brief product review of Walthers Mainline GP9 Phase 2. These are EMD locomotives, all are Illinois Central paint, the orange and white paint scheme. These were released in late February 2020. Walthers produced two different road numbers of both sound and non-sound versions. And they also produced two different configurations of the locomotive. The top two are, again, Phase 2 GP9s, but these are the chop nose units, or that has the short high hood. The bottom two are high hood units, as indicated by the double H there. The road numbers I purchased on these for the chop nose are 9174 and 9016. The high hood versions are 9098 and 9174. Before I go through the unboxing and just through the wonderful editing prowess, I guess you could call it, that I have, I'm going to go ahead and show you one of the chop nose versions. I'm going to run through the startup sequence and some of the sound functions on this locomotive. I'm going to do that now. Keep watching the video and we'll come back and I'll show you the unboxing and talk a little bit about the prototype history of these particular units. So again, stick around for the unboxing of this locomotive, but I got the chop unit 9174 out, and this is right out of the box, guys. I haven't touched anything with programming track or Loc Programmer, so I'm just going to do a quick startup, let you run through or let you hear some of the sound functions on it. I'm going to run through startup, horn, bell, coupler crash. I'm going to do a little bit of notching with drive hold, and then I'm going to get it out on the main line and test out the dynamic brakes. So let's run through startup and the functions. So while I'm doing the unboxing, I'm going to talk just a little bit about the prototypes for these particular, or the information about the prototype of these particular road numbers. So this is sealed here, by the way, so we'll flip it around to the other end. I'm just going to go in numerical order here. GP9 9016 was originally built in 1954, and it was eventually sold to the Cedar Valley Railway, which is kind of ironic because I live near the Waterloo Cedar Falls area. 9098 was built in 1955, and it was actually rebuilt in 1980 as a GP11, number 8729. Road number 9147 was built in 1956, and it was sold for scrap in 1987. And 9174 was built in 1955, and it was sold to Mid-South in the early 1980s, and it was eventually renumbered 9001. As I continue the unboxing here, I think what's unique about these locomotives is their piece of tape there. Out of these 4 units, Illinois Central had a long history of rebuilding their first generation diesels. All of these are first generation diesels. Out of these 4 road numbers, only 1 was actually rebuilt into GP11 or GP10 or a GP11. The GP11s were a little bit later in the rebuild program at Paducah. So go ahead and pull this out of the package here. But it was not uncommon either for the Illinois Central to sell off some of their older equipment to short lines or regional railroads. That's why Mid-South popped up, Cedar Valley Railway. So let's go ahead and take a closer look at this particular model here. So again, this is the chop nose version of the GP9. Again, this is a GP9, not a GP10. So you're going to see some pretty unique spotting features on a GP10 compared to the GP9. One of the first is the exhaust stack. This is a dual exhaust locomotive. The prototype was a EMD 567 prime mover. Probably, again, personally, from a personal perspective, one of my favorite prime movers. Just the sound, the throatiness, the grunts, the generator whine. It's pretty spectacular, especially if you get to hear one in real life, which I've had the opportunity to. Again, this is a mainline locomotive, so you're not going to have the super details that you're going to find on a lot of the higher end models. It does have obviously the stanchions. It doesn't have sunshades, but some of the earlier GP9s did not actually have sunshades installed. They had the curtains that came down. Doesn't have an antenna. Usually on these, and I'll show you some prototype photos as we're running through here, there should be a bell attached to the long hood. We don't have any MU hoses on the front. There's no grab irons, although I'm going to get this a little bit closer to the camera. You can kind of see that there are the mold marks for where the grab irons go. There's mold marks for where the lift pins go for to remove the long hood. Generally, first impressions of this model, it's good. It's, again, this is a value line locomotive. You wouldn't expect the super details that you're going to get on a higher scale, like the Walthers Proto series locomotive. So I'm going to talk a little bit later on about what I plan to do with these locomotives. Just in an effort to save time, I pulled one of the high hood units out of the package. A little bit confusing maybe. This one's 9174, this one's 9147. I'm sure I'll probably end up screwing that up when I'm programming these into my throttle, but that's okay. Again, generally, these are very similar in appearance. The walkways are the same, handrail stanchions are the same, horn is the same, long hood configuration is the same. Main differences are obviously the short hood. One is a chop nose, one is the high hood unit. Again, looking at these compared to a higher end unit, they don't have a lot of the details. But Walthers actually produces a kit that you can add the grab irons yourself. I've purchased those kits, and I'm going to do a separate instructional video showing how to actually detail these locomotives out. In addition to the Walthers kit, I also purchased some prototypically correct dome antennas. I purchased a high hood mounted bell, long hood side mounted bell for the chop units, MU hoses for the front. So really, I'm gonna try to super detail these locomotives out. I probably shouldn't do this, but I'm going to do it just to show the differences. Now, I will say that yes, these are two different models, two different manufacturers, two different price points on these models, but here's our Walthers Mainline that I just purchased. Here is an Athearn Genesis unit. Again, it's an EMD GP9, it's a phase 2, but you're going to start seeing some of the differences fairly quickly. Again, I get it, this is a Genesis version, but kind of what my point is here, the Walthers unit actually has a lot of potential. You can see here's the dome antenna, which is missing. Hood mounted, high hood mounted bell, has a couple of cut levers, all of the MU hoses. But if you start looking at the spotting features, Walthers nailed the spotting features. Four radiator fans on the long hood, double exhaust port. Again, the Athearn unit has the spark arresters. The Walthers unit does not. But as far as the locations, a lot of the louvers along the long hood, Walthers nailed it. They really did. I mean, the spotting features are that of the GP9. We have on the back here the hand ratchet brake. Again, the Walthers unit, the Athearn unit has all of the grabs, lift pins on or the lift rings on the long hood. Take a look at the engineer side here. And on the Athearn unit, it does have the sunshades. But, again, I mean, if you look at the louver location, where a lot of the vents are, it's all, the Walthers unit is absolutely prototypically correct. So they did their homework on that and have those in the correct location. They just didn't choose to make this particular unit a proto unit. So it's missing a lot of the separately applied details that we're used to on the high-end locomotive. Here's some of the paperwork that came with the locomotive. So we have the Walthers Mainline. I think there we go, they were stuck together. So two different things here. We have the Mainline, sort of the instruction manual, so to speak. It's going to talk about all the parts and pieces. Shows where the decoder's mounted, speaker, the trucks and the gears and everything. Pretty standard. It also, with this one, mine's a sound unit, so it comes equipped with the Walthers Mainline ESU digital sound manual. I'm going to talk a little bit about this. One thing is somewhat interesting, and I do have a little bit of experience with these, and I've done a lot of reading on these before purchasing. So the Walthers Mainline come equipped with an ESU essential sound unit decoder. These are a value sound decoder. They are not the high-end Loc Sound 5 or Loc Sound Select decoders. With those decoders, you can use the Loc programmer to program them. This says we have to use either JMRI or your DCC system to change CV values. Please note, sound files cannot be changed using the ESU Loc programmer. That is a true statement. We cannot load any of the ESU sound projects into these particular decoders. Don't read into the statement too much. You absolutely can use the Loc programmer to change CV values. So you don't have to use JMRI, you don't have to use your hand throttle if you have the Loc programmer unit and software. Here's just some of the the DCC function mapping, pretty standard: headlight, bell horn, coupler crash, dynamic brakes, ditch lights if they're equipped, the compressor, prime mover, and drive hold. Over here are some of the CV values you can change. It doesn't list all of the CV values. If you go to the Walthers website, there is a comprehensive list of the CV values. And I did check the ESU LokSound webpage, and unfortunately, LokSound does not provide any type of manual or instruction sheets for their value line decoders. So overall, my initial impressions of these models is positive. There's potential. It's, there's going to be some work that needs to be done on my part to get these locomotives to where they need to be in terms of what I prefer to run on my layout. It's going to take some work, and I'll walk you through that work. I think the biggest thing right now is I need to take a deeper dive into the ESU Essential Sound Unit Decoder. This is certainly something that I'm going to work with. I'm going to produce those in some separate videos on how to optimize these value decoders and make them work for your particular layout. I don't want you to become frustrated with some of the nuances or quirks of these value line decoders. This is not the potential of what DCC can do for your model railroad, so please keep that in mind as you're shopping around. It really becomes, what do you want out of your decoders and what do you want out of your locomotives? I did my homework. I knew what I was purchasing, and I know what I need to do to make these to the standards that I have for my layout. So keep watching my channel. There's going to be some videos coming out here, or depending on when you watch this after I publish it, there's probably already some videos on my channel that talk through some of the challenges with these locomotives. So again, very positive impression of these units, and I'm glad to add them to my model railroad fleet. If you have any questions, please give me some comments. Thanks, guys. See you soon.